Yo, unmute yourself, bro.
I done myself bad. I muted myself. But welcome back to the Top 6 show. Welcome. I sounded like Arsenal fans last night. They were disappeared, most of them, barring the Arteta outers. They were out in force last night. It was like a Mardi Gras on my timeline. It was. But listen, we've got a big show for you tonight. We're delving into all the fallout of the weekend's football. We're going to take a look at some of the important Champions League games, not the City, PSG, Liverpool United games, which are essentially dead. But you might fancy a little bit of a flutter on them anyway. There'll be a chance to see some youth players, etc., etc. But we're going to delve into Arteta, the pressure mounting upon him now as they slump to 7th in the league. We're going to talk Chelsea dropping from 1st to 3rd and the panic amongst some Chelsea fans around their squad and how things are going. We're going to look at Ralf Rangnick and his changes at the club, not just tactically, but the new improvements in the coaching staff as well. We want your thoughts. We want your feelings. Remember to get your super chats in as well and subscribe to the Terrace and sign up to your free Bet Victor account. All the links are below. But there's only one place to start. Jessica Black, how are you? How you feeling today?
Not great, obviously. But thanks for asking.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it was another humbling night as a Gooner, it was. And none of us are going to laugh here. None of us are going to laugh here at all. I'm checking Cal's face. He ain't gone yet. No. Daniel's about to burst out laughing. I don't know. But how are you feeling sort of nearly 24 hours later after getting beat by a team, by the way, who were on their second worst home form in 130 years?
I mean, not surprised. I'm not surprised at all because I said before the game we'd lose because it was a must-win game. But then I was told by a lot of Arsenal fans that it wasn't, which is weird. You know, Everton away was a must-win game because now we're going into the downward spiral that we go into, every December. And so I'm just like, what have I watched? Like, why? I guess for me, it's like whether you're Arteta in or Arteta out, that's fine. But like this weird thing where we don't want to talk about Arteta and we keep blaming the players is really strange. And how it's like every single player that we have is all of a sudden the worst player that ever existed. But what's wrong with Anita?
Yeah, she
been glitching out, bro. Chelsea got her camera stressed.
Yeah, this is the sort of thing you see in horror movies. Are we next? Like,
Do you know what'd be really cool if it did it like dreeked out and then somebody else was there instead of Anita? I'd be so impressed. That would be amazing. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Wait, can you guys hear me and see me properly?
Yeah.
But it was glitchy.
I want to ask you. I want to throw this out there to the group really. Before we talk about Arteta, why are Arsenal, I know the phrase is free hit FC, why are Arsenal fans continuing to, every time they don't get a result, that they look back and say, not important, and they find a new reason? What is that? I don't understand it. What's it all about?
Pride. It's pride. It's not wanting to be.
There's some people that are still like, they want to believe in this thing about Arteta. And like, I get if you want him to be good, but like at some point he needs to be good. You know, like at some point you need to see something. And I feel like, I don't know why it feels like we're weirdly hitched to this wagon of Arteta and nobody wants to talk about it. But like, there's nothing to suggest at the moment that he's going to like get us to where we want to go. But it feels like, you know, well, let's just keep pushing, you know, things back and act like it's not happening. So every single game is not really a must win because points wise, I saw a lot of people doing like a lot of math. You know, like I was seeing a lot of equations in my mentions, but if we get 1.5 points in every single, that's not how it works. Psychologically for this team, if you lose against Everton, you're going down a downward spiral because Arteta's already there. He is off the cliff. That man is going to lose at least 2 or 3 more games. So it's like, it's weird, but I just think it's a little bit of what Callum said. It's pride, but then it's also just this weird thing where people have believed that Arteta is going to become something. And it's like, but he's literally not. So like, why don't you just like say it?
Nah, it's PTSD, man. It's PTSD. Them man have been bantered for so long that they just want an era of just peace. That's all I want. All us fans want is the era of peace and prosperity and harmony. And if you just ignore the noise and just keep convincing yourself that everything's okay, apparently everything will be okay. That is, I think,
but
what's
you'd get
going on.
more peace if you just kept it real. Like, I feel like the peace doesn't come because most people can say that we're not where we want to be, but the peace doesn't come because people are saying we're in the top 4 race. I think that's where the peace doesn't come from. I think if we were just like, you know what, we're trying to improve, but we're not really where we want to be at, and we just said, shh, you know, beyond that, I think the banter comes because there's so many people that before these last like four games or so was saying that we were in the top 4 race. I think it's more that than just like, maybe if we're just quiet, the banter will lessen, but it's never going to go away if we're not good. Do you know what I mean?
Hey man, it's 2021. It's the era of speaking your truth and believing your truth in that, innit? So speak your truth, Arsenal fans. Go for it.
No. Do you know what it is though? I think the Arsenal thing is it's not about focusing on the fans, innit? Because the fans are always going to be fans, and Arsenal fans are an intriguing bunch. Obviously, not everyone. There are some very, very kind people, like they're good ones, but they are an intriguing bunch in terms of where they see their club and whatnot. But I think what it is the difference is between Arteta and all the other up and coming managers is he won the FA Cup. He has got a trophy under his belt, so it's almost like that's something that's been used as a thing to kind of say he's got that trophy. Remember when we were talking on stream last year, some point last season, and I think even Terry said it, if Oli won that Europa League, regardless of the fact that it was Europa League, he still got a trophy under his belt. So it would have given him time. It would have given him a bit of a cushion to make a couple more mistakes. Do you know what I mean? But it was the fact that you hadn't won a trophy when you expected to win a trophy, and then you were also losing games when you shouldn't have been losing games, and then you weren't even looking like you were going to make the top 4. So it just made it harder. So for me, the Arsenal situation or the Arsenal conundrum is that you just got an incompetent bunch of decision makers where it's a seesaw. It's literally down. You're down. Bad results. Should he have been sacked? I mean, so many Arsenal fans have said there are like 4 moments where he could have even been sacked, and the fact that it's so topsy turvy like that just goes to show that the decision making process at Arsenal, obviously, look. I'm not saying anything that's groundbreaking. We've known this for so long, so I just think that with the squad that you've got as well. I'm actually a fan of Arsenal squad. I'm the one who said that Arsenal, in my opinion, when people said they've seen the progress, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. And I'm watching the same football as everyone. I haven't seen it. I don't think when you're talking about a club like Arsenal, when you're talking about a club like Man United, incremental growth is not growth to you, man. We need to see something significant. We need to see a shift. I can even speak about Liverpool. When we're talking about Klopp, yes, Klopp got them to finals, but there was a time when Klopp was losing finals and we were questioning whether Klopp was the right guy for the job. But he finally got over that hurdle and continued to invest and continue to build on that. It wasn't incremental. It was huge chunks, huge steps we were seeing year in, year out. If you finish 8th, I'm seeing people talk about, we conceded 30 goals at this point last season. No, we've only conceded 22 this season. Is that growth? Come on, man.
I'm sorry. Jeff, I'm sorry.
Do you know what, right? Like, everyone's spoken seriously. Everyone's had their serious comments. But in hindsight, Chelsea fans won, United fans won, Arteta's still at the wheel. And it's so beautiful because I remember that FA Cup final like it was yesterday. I remember embarrassing myself on Bleach Report, talking about it's just Arsenal. Then Arsenal fans in my bloody DM saying, look what Arteta's done to your club. Frank Lampard's a failure. Who's laughing now? It is me. I am laughing my pants off at these Arsenal fans. So I have no sympathy whatsoever. Have I seen growth? Yeah, I have seen a bit of a difference. How small it may be, I do think that Arteta has strengthened your back line quite a bit. And people can say, no, he hasn't, blah, blah, blah. We still got shit players there, blah, blah. You've got a Ben White there who's quite stable. You've got Aaron Ramsdale who has literally shut up so many critics. It's unbelievable. Tavares, however, that guy, he's mad. He's a little...
Anita, let's not act like I've seen your tweets. Let's not act like I've seen your tweets. You and Sam from Golding, I've seen your tweets about Tavares, fam.
Tavares is mad. Tavares is mad. 1 minute he's doing really well, then he's one step away from getting a red card, and it's just like, what is wrong with your decision making? You're really
it's weird though, but I like him, man. He's vibes.
No. The thing is, he's fine.
Like
The day I knew that he was mad, was when I actually went to the Emirates to watch the Newcastle game. And I'm looking at it, first half, I'm livid with the guy. Like, I'm off my seat. I'm shouting at him. I'm thinking, what's wrong with you? Next half, he's getting an assist. I'm thinking, what the hell is wrong with this guy?
a very good assist. Bro, let me tell you about Tavares, yeah. If I supported Arsenal, I'd probably be pulling out my hair. But he's so good to watch. He's just fun. Like
I'm telling you, he's an entertainment. He's entertainment.
I love Tavares. That's the thing
when Arteta was shouting at him. Sorry,
but
Jess,
Arteta doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, that's the thing. It's like these players. I mean, ultimately, most people would say, even if you hate Arsenal with all of your whatever, these players are not that bad, and there are teams below us that have worse players that are performing better. That's why I don't understand why every single moment it's, well, Aubameyang this, Aubameyang that. Arteta stopped playing to Aubameyang's strengths after the FA Cup. So it's no surprise after that, Aubameyang has fallen off of a cliff. He stopped playing to Pepe's strengths. Pepe doesn't play anymore. Nobody's like, don't be surprised that your attack falls apart if you don't play to their strengths whatsoever. We are counterattacking into big space, no pretty passing type of team. I would even go back to saying we're a 3-4-3 team. Like, that's pretty much what we are.
Terry, just take a moment for a second, Terry. Just us two need to take a moment. Just take it in.
The thing is,
this was last week. This was us.
No,
3 weeks ago. This was us.
It was, and I think
now it's not.
That's the one thing I'd say though. Like we had Lee on the show earlier, getting into it with Arsenal fans because Lee is happy that his team's losing. His rationale is it's one day closer, in his opinion, to Arteta leaving. And I suppose that's the big question, isn't it? Like, surely you've got to want him gone and now. And I'm hearing a lot of people said Ollie was here till the end of the season. It's a weird opinion for anybody to hold with the direction of the results. There was no way Ollie was going to stay. Even with our owners, it was going to go. Like Arteta, though, surely his neck has got to be on the chopping block. £150 million. No Arsenal fan with a brain cell can be buying into the PR nonsense. Younger squad, here for the future. It's about growth, Project Youth, whatever they're calling this new and current rebuild. They've got to do something about this manager. Like, I just look at it, and do you know what's mad? Nobody believes he's going to get sacked. I was looking at the odds earlier on today. They're available on the screen below. There's a link in the description below for the odds. I was taking a look at these. I'm going to put them up on the screen as well. He's 25-1 to be the next manager to lose his job. That just tells me the standards at Arsenal Football Club have dropped so dramatically from the board right through to the fan base, because how can you be Arsenal Football Club? You've spent in the last sort of 5-6 years on this squad, you've spent in and around the same as everybody else. Of course, probably Man City and Man United have outdone you a little bit, but it isn't like you're paupers here. You know, you are eating caviar and drinking champagne as well. Do you know what I mean? You ain't anywhere dodgy, right? You're in a good space. You know what I'm saying? Credit rating's good. You get that 9.9. You know what I mean? You don't have to worry. You never been like you go to buy something to do a credit rating, and you're sitting there, you're a bit jittery. You don't say no. Arsenal ain't got that problem. They're sorted. So I look at it and think 25-1. Why are Arsenal fans not screaming louder for him to lose his job? That's the bit for me which stands out.
Because it's not going to do anything. They have no intentions of sacking him. We all know that they're nowhere near looking at him to sack him at all. He's still within a point of the top 6. There's no reason to get rid of him. I don't even think they really considered sacking him after the Villarreal game, after we were in 15th last season. And that's my thing. It's like, I get that people don't, it's like, I get the whole Project Youth thing doesn't sound real, but it would be just fine if you had a manager that was moving right. Like, nobody, I don't think any Arsenal fans have any like issues with it taking a little bit longer if the performances match up. Like, and it just doesn't. When you watch Wolves play, even when they don't get the result, fundamentally, you can say that they played well. So you can swallow some of them bad results. We don't. Like, we just don't. So it's kind of like, does this whole thing hinge on Arteta? And like, why can't we just get a different manager? Like, why does it have to be him? Like, that's why I don't really understand. And then there's it's like, oh, well, no other manager would come mid-season. There's no perfect choice. La, 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 la. That is such bullshit, you guys. Like, another manager would come and manage Arsenal Football Club. Maybe not the same ones that would go to Liverpool and Man City, but there's somebody better than Arteta that would come in tomorrow and manage Arsenal Football Club. Like, it doesn't make sense. So, but we all know that they're nowhere near sacking him.
These are the same fans who will sit there on a stream and argue they're still the biggest club in London, second or third biggest team in England, but then just to defend Mikel Arteta, they say, who'd come and manage us with the state we're in? They're drinking that PR Kool-Aid at your football club. And by the way, this is what will happen when they sack him. And I don't think he'll survive the season. About 53% of the vote we've got going thinks he will. I think he'll be gone before the season ends. The new manager comes in. I don't think it will be a world-class manager. And then you guys will get sold Project Amsterdam. I don't know what they're going to call it this fucking time because it might be a Dutch manager that comes in. Project Amsterdam, hashtag clogs are us. I don't know what it's going to be, right? But it will be a new 3-year process. And then all the positive blue ticks, all the positive streamers, all the people that don't want to be associated to people like Don Robbie, like, no, that's too negative. They give fans a bad name. They're going to sit there and drink the Kool-Aid and just rinse and repeat. And the saddest part about it is this kind of social media scene's only really been around for this level for 4 or 5 years, where lots of people have consumed it. 6-7 years it's been running, maybe a bit more for the Redmens of this world, etc. But the point is, this has been going on at Arsenal for nearly 20 years, where they sell you an idea and promise you gold at the end of it, but there's never any gold. It is the biggest pyramid scheme in the history of football. It's the biggest fraud. It's timeshare all over again. There is nothing at the end of it. And until Arsenal fans stand up and start focusing on the real problem, which is the way your club is run, as much as Arteta's got to go, if Arsenal fans think that is the end of their problems, they are deluding themselves. Every shirt, every ticket, every piece of merchandise you put in the Kroenke's pocket, in my opinion, is one step further away from ever winning a Premier League or a top flight title again. Maybe even getting back into the Champions League, because the way the other clubs are run in the Premier League compared to you, and I'm talking even the teams that should be nowhere near you, the Leicesters, the Wolves, West Ham ain't very well run, to be fair. I don't know how they're doing what they're doing. They're an exception to the rule. They're an exception to the rule. But the big boys, the majority of the top 6 around you are run better. Man United, they're making some good strides at the minute. I ain't getting carried away. We're going to get onto them later. I ain't getting carried away with like a good decision to bring in Ralph Rangnick. There is years of work to do before I trust these. And Arsenal fans, they upset me. They upset me because they buy into it every single time. And I know you want to be positive about your club. I know everybody wants to see the good in them, but they just remind me of that mum who's got that naughty kid on the estate. We all know he's a little shit. We all know he's a bad kid, but his mum always thinks he's turned the corner. But we're like, I just saw him rob a shop 10 minutes ago, you dickhead. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's just, it annoys me. I get so, I'm not even an Arsenal fan, and it winds me up so much. So much.
Yeah, Terry, I'm not going to lie. You're doing the most at the moment, bro. Recently, we've lost Ollie. We've lost Lampard. I don't want to lose Arteta. You need to chill out, bro. I get you're in a better place now because Ollie's gone. But as I said, we've lost a couple man recently. Arteta's the last soldier that we need to hang on to. And be real with you.
This is like one of them bad seasons on Game of Thrones. But like,
everyone gets killed off.
Everyone's getting cut.
I'm not gonna lie. If this weren't your show, Terry, I'd have cut your mic, bro.
No, but
It's my show. You cannot cut my mic. It's my show.
What?
Wait,
Hold on,
what?
Oh, it's not voice modulator.
Okay.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. With Anita's screen going mad, and just sat here, I was about to be off. I'm not gonna lie.
That's where all the money's going to, right? Isn't it? That's where all the money's going to.
Yeah,
No. But if we're being serious, though, he's not even a club legend like that for them to be taking their time with this.
Oh my word. Yeah.
Nah, you know, listen, honestly, like, them, I feel like them, man, are in the same kind of boat with Man United. Them, man, were trying to let's resurrect the spirit of Wenger. and they've just chose the wrong vessel to resurrect the spirit in, bro. You've seen them horror films where they choose the wrong vessel and then they end up, the monster turns up going to do a madness. This is Arteta, the wrong vessel, my brother. Do the spirit of Wenger in someone else. He's just too inexperienced. He's his first job in flipping management, and it's Arsenal, and he's older. Yeah. He's basically the same age as some of the flipping players who play in the Premier League.
Yeah, it's. Do you know? I said it earlier on. I stand by it. If the Royal Air Force built a brand new fighter jet worth millions of pounds and it had to go into battle, they're putting the best maverick available in it, not someone who's just passed their test, someone who just got their license. That's the crazy thing. And well, maybe
he's just done his theory test. He's never done a practical, bro.
Very true. No,
what I don't get is like, why this goes back to your point, Terry. Like, why would they give him that much money to play around with, knowing how inexperienced he is? And then obviously fans are gonna buy into this whole Arteta in agenda because he spent this amount of money and now he's doing a rebuild. And it's like, if you get rid of Arteta now, you're gonna have to start another rebuild. And it's like, how do you go from that?
I think what it is that like they have been convinced by Arteta, and like, and to be it's not to be fair to Arteta, but like that original group of players, even though I don't think he got the best out of them, they were crap. Like, let's not sit here and act like Mustafi and Socrates and Ozil and all of them were amazing. So I was like, okay, well, he definitely needs to get rid of them because any manager that comes in is going to want to get rid of that group. And so last season came around, he still had some of those players. So I think the whole thing was like, it's like this weird thing where he has to have all of his players, but like, you can't just throw away the guys that you have and not deal with them at all. And that's what his fatal flaw has really been, you know, because he has Pepe and Aubameyang and some players that you can tell that he really doesn't like, but you still need to get them to work. Now it's this, okay, well, if we just get the striker, then all of it will come together. And I don't think you've seen any signs that he's a good enough coach to get anything out of the players that he's bought. Because this is his team. You know, this is it. These are his guys, but it's, the striker, the midfielder. It's weird, but I think they're giving him more windows because he's saying, I don't have the right striker. I don't have the right this. I don't have the right that. But like, you still should be able to use what you have. That's all I'm saying.
Something that was said in the summer to me by Dean, which is now just ringing a bell. He said it's great business by Arsenal because these players will all hold great sell-on value. So it's win-win. If they can make it work and get into the Champions League, great. If they don't, they can sell these players and make their money back or make profits on them. I think that's one of the reasons why you're going for these youngsters. You know, if Ben White keeps improving, you know, I look at a lot of your players. Look at Ramsdale. If Ramsdale continues in the way he's playing, and in 2 years you're not in the Champions League, you're selling him for a lot more than £24 million. You're getting 60, 70 million pounds for him. And then again, you'll spin it with PR. You know, it'll be the player that gets hated on for leaving.
It's what we used to do. I've seen this story already. It's what Liverpool used to do. It don't end well. It don't end well. But
Arteta should basically be managing under 23s at this point because that's basically what he's doing at Arsenal. So imagine if he stayed at Man City and done the second team, academy thing, and then maybe got moved to a championship team or something, or La Liga 2, whatever it's called.
Like, they're doing really well to be fair. Arsenal.
They are, and I'm not trying to get on Arsenal too much here. I'm actually, again, Arsenal fans will take it as I'm insulting them. I'm not trying. The fans, I'm actually trying to support the fans here. This is the stuff you need to be challenging your club. And everything else. And look, I saw threads in the last 3 weeks. I've seen threads, tweets, phone calls into my show, and other people talk about how getting beat by Liverpool 4-1 was the best thing that can happen because we now get 4-0. Sorry, was one of the best things that could happen. I've seen playing Man United is not important in terms of our season or our progression. I've seen all this kind of weird kind of spin that's being put out. Put that energy into challenging your board that have systematically taken your club from being one of the powerhouses of world football into being a mid-table team in the Premier League. A mid-table team is where Arsenal are, and they were punching above their weight being in fifth place, talking about top 4. And yes, they're only 4 points away from it. And we're going to move on to the top 4 race in a minute. But I cannot see with Tottenham not playing beautiful football, but starting to grind out results, with Man United squad and Ralph being there. And do you know what? With West Ham United being a legitimately good football team, There's just no way Arsenal right now, as things stand with Arteta, he's getting anywhere near top 4. It would amaze me if he got 5th, and if he gets 6th, he should retire from his Arsenal role, because that's the best he's ever going to get, in my opinion. Now, and I think the jury's out. The pressure, and Jess said it right earlier. The fact that in the last 2 games they were winnable. Man United were on the ropes. We had Michael Carrick managing us. We've had terrible home form up until that point. No clean sheet in 15 games. Barely any wins at home. And Everton, their second worst run of home form in the history of their football club. They were must-win games for Arsenal. They would be sitting 4th now if they won them. They should have been winning them. And in fact, they got beat in both games. In the second half yesterday against Everton, like, they were absolutely bullied. They were bullied by such a poor team who were on the brink of sacking their manager. I wouldn't be surprised, by the way, if Rafa's gone in a week or 2. That's how bad they've been. And they bodied Arsenal. And I just think it's a shame for the good. It's a shame for a lot of good Gooners that I know. It really, really is. But viewers, do you think he'll be sacked? Do you think he'll go? Some of the odds are available right now.
You put money on it, Terry.
You want me to put money on it?
Yeah, Arteta. If you feel like it's possible, put money on it.
But is it possible though? Like, are they going to get rid of him?
You know what, I don't know if they will, right? Not now. But do you know what? At 25-1, and I'm checking it is still 25-1. At 25-1, if they lose against Southampton, those odds are going to drop dramatically to like maybe 5-1, whatever. So I'm thinking now's a good time to look at it and say, just stick a little £5 on Mikel Arteta to be the next guy to go. That's £130 return. More bang for my buck here. So I am going to do that on Mikel Arteta. It may not happen, but those odds, if he loses to Southampton, he's there. What's the game? And then they've got to play West Ham. Like, they could legitimately fail to win these next 2 games, and it could trigger something to happen. With stranger things have happened in the Premier League. I was waiting for this to load and lock in. It's done. That bet is locked in with Bet Victor. Up next, though, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about the top 4 race: West Ham, Man United, Tottenham. Maybe some of you still think Arsenal. Hit that like button for us. Subscribe to the Terrace. Let's do it. Top 4 race. Obviously, you 3 at the bottom are not really involved in this. Your teams are nice and clear and happy. But I do think it's a really good sort of talking point with West Ham. There's a lot of talk of West Ham kind of falling behind the curve. You know, they had a few bad results. They lost to City, struggled to get a result against Brighton. But they're winning against your boys on Saturday. And I didn't think Chelsea played badly. West Ham just did really well for me. And yeah, Masuaku's goal, did he mean it? Was it a little bit fluky? Was it bad goalkeeping? Maybe all those things exist, but they've really put themselves in the shop window for this top four race. Where do you guys see? I'll go to Anita first on this. Like, where do you see it going? Who's going to clinch that final spot in your opinion?
Man United, like, I don't even think this is a proper conversation to even be having. I did think Arsenal would give everyone a run for their money, and I still think that they will. I think it will go down to the wire, but Man United is taking that top 4 spot. Obviously, before Oli got sacked, it was kind of laughable to think that Man United would not get that top 4 spot, but it was also believable that they wouldn't get it. But now that you've got Ralph Rangnick in, and I don't care what anyone has to say about this, but your first match with the guy, there is a big difference. And if that continues to manifest, then honestly, like, the top 4 race is going to be in serious trouble. Man United could potentially run away with that top 4 race. But then another thing to factor in is that Tottenham, they have a game in hand, which if they win that game in hand, it will put them right into the top 4 as well. So it's all up in the air. I'm 100% certain that Man United will edge it, especially because they've got Cristiano Ronaldo to carry them over that line. Tottenham, I'm still not sold yet with Antonio Conte. They have had a couple of good games in their current runnings, and I do think that there has been an improvement there, but we know what Tottenham's like. They can bottle at any given moment, but Man United are the ones for me to take that top 4 spot.
I get that. I think Man United have to be the favourites. They are with the bookies. They are with Bet Victor. They are in my mind. Anybody see it going any other way? Anybody see someone else that could shock people? Could Man United still collapse under Ralph? Could it just be, a couple of game bounce and then back to the usual inconsistent selves?
I think Tottenham's the only threat to Man United. I would have said West Ham, but they are dropping like flies. They are really suffering with injuries. I think even Zoom is their latest person to be injured now as well. And you start to lose players like that. They've lost Ogbonna for the rest of the season, if I'm not mistaken. Zoom is going to be out for a little while, coming up to one of the busiest periods in the calendar for the Premier League as well. I think it might start to show on West Ham a little bit. And again, look, if they are even in a top 4 race, they're punching well above where they should be, in my opinion. So I don't think they've got anything to be sort of downbeat about or upset about, especially with how they're run behind the scenes as well. I've got to disagree with Anita, though. I've seen a big change, in my opinion, since Conte is coming to Tottenham. In the same way I've seen a big change since Ralph's been at United. I think it's between those two. The only reason why I'd edge towards Man United is because they've got better players throughout their squad and their team. I think Tottenham, I think Conte is a better manager than Ralph, even though I rate Ralph highly. But Man United, they've got a good set of players that you can get a tune out of. And if Ralph's there, we've seen Oli got, second last season? And granted, some of the teams around him didn't hit their potential, but still got second. And that was with a manager who's very poor, let's be honest. So if they've got a decent manager, they should be at least getting top 4. And I think Tottenham have got mistakes in them still, and they've got that Spursy about them, haven't they? Where you just there's something around the corner coming. Whereas I think Man United will grind it out.
On Ralph, KJ, obviously you didn't come. You were very busy at the weekend. Congratulations, by the way, for your work at the Mobo Awards and everything else, brother. Well done.
Big up, KJ.
And no excuse to not be on a fan cam though. There is none ever. It's none.
I should have hopped on with Harry Pinero. That's what I should have done. I was with him.
Bring him here. What I was going to say to you is, how impressed were you though with what Ralph introduced? Are you were the guy on this show 3 months ago and asked whether United could win the league. You said only if we sack Ollie and get a new manager in. It's too late to win the league now, but are you confident with what you saw in that opening sort of 45 minutes that United will have enough now to at least secure Champions League football for next year?
Yeah, from what I've seen, from the analysis that's happened after the game as well, and really just deep diving into what was going on, because anyone can just say, oh yeah, it was better because there was more pressing, more running and X, Y, and Z. But no, the most important thing was structure. There was actual structure in the team, and that going forward is something that gives me a lot of confidence. Like, right, cool. And the only thing we hope is that the structure gets better and better. And with the return of someone like Rafael Varane coming in, because everyone's forgot that we have Rafael Varane, Champions League Varane in our squad. Cavani is also just coming back. He would love this system. Ralph Rangnick will love a striker like Cavani. Pressing from the front, hard-working, ready to die for the badge. So with the structure, with the coaching and with the players returning and the rotation that's going to happen, I am very confident that we can get top 4. And I'm happy what I've seen so far. And this is not me sitting here saying, oh yeah, we're back like people want me to say. Someone down there smiling wants me to say it, but it's good foundations and good building blocks, and going forward, I'm excited. And also, it still glazes out, baby. Bun them, but we still at least got some kind of hope going forward. And yeah, man, that squad under this manager for the next 6 months can go on and actually do what we need them to do right now from the spot, which is go and get top 4 and challenge for a trophy like FA Cup. A challenge for an FA Cup would be decent from this point of the season.
But it's run the Glazers a little bit more quietly now. It's not as loud.
No. I'll say it loud in my chest. Bun the Glazers, fam. Thank you for Ralph. Now do one, bro. I don't care.
The Glazers aren't going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah. I'm just letting people know, because people like to chat like Man United fans love to use them as an excuse, and they're only just there when
no.
It's still bun them till this day.
Obviously, I know you're honest with it. Like, I know a lot of United fans want the Glazers out, but it's just not going to be a thing now. Like, do you know what I mean? It's gonna
it will be. When we got to play them again, they'll probably protest again.
Do you know what? The Glazer thing's interesting because I know they're not. United fans are never going to mobilise enough to get rid of him. Ever. You saw last night at the Everton game, like they were meant to have a protest, a walkout. Like 12 of them walked out, the rest started cheering, and I just thought, and you could tell they wanted to, but it's like, oh, if I leave, and the worst, they nearly scored as well, right? And it was sort of like. People, and I know it comes from a good place. Nobody is ever going to walk away. Not enough people are ever going to walk away from their club. But what we need to hope for is that they just run the damn thing right. And if they run the club well with the right football people making decisions, it can help. And Ralph doing it, he's bringing it. I don't know. I can't remember the names of the two coaches that are coming in.
Armas and
someone. The psychologist that's coming. Do you know what's really interesting? No one's heard of him, really. And I don't know what their CV say, but if you notice that no one's moaning. Like it's almost this case of when Darren Fletcher was being given roles and John Murtaugh and people were like, who are these Brexiters that are coming in and Ollie's selected? They must be terrible. Now, like Ralph's picking people and everyone's relaxed about it, and I think that's a good thing. But in terms of how we played, I spoke about it in the review. It was so good in that opening 35 minutes, and I'm not allowing myself to get overly gassed or get carried away to start talking about madnesses we could do this season. We'll wait until at least February, March until we start talking about winning the Champions League, which I may not do. Well, I mean, if we're playing very well by then maybe I'll fancy it with the kind of players that we've got. When you've got a player that's played, we're in a team where we played awfully, but still has 6 Champions League goals in 5 games, there's always a possibility if by then we're playing well. But I'm not worried about that now. I just want to see some better football. I want to see the players working hard. I want to see the players running through brick walls and just securing that top 4 place. And I agree with Anita. Like, we have to be favourites. I think Spurs have got a better manager than us right now. Conte is brilliant, and he will start. He's 3 wins from 4 games, and he drew the other. They probably would have beaten Burnley. They win their game in hand. They go 4th, and people have been sleeping on Tottenham since he arrived because there isn't a buzz and a noise. The one fear factor with Tottenham is, though, I spoke to 3 journalists in the last week about this. They're all being told they're looking at like a groundbreaking, is the word one of them used to me today, January, where they are looking to do some serious business in January. It's getting those signings that bed in straight away. That's another caveat. One, getting the signings. The secondly, you've got to make them work. But I am a little bit concerned about who they may or may not bring in and what that does to the harmony. Does it improve them? Did they get a bounce from it? They might sign someone who goes in there and does a bit of a Bruno Fernandes from the January and absolutely kills it. But they're going to be our biggest challenges. I think West Ham are brilliant. I think they're absolute. For me, I said yesterday, actually, pound for pound, the best team in the league this season. From where they should be for what they're doing, 4th place is astounding. And they've beaten everybody in either a cup or they've beaten every single big team in either a cup or a league game this year, which is tremendous for them. But I do think they're going to struggle with injuries, and especially when that Europa League kicks in the second half of the season. I think they should do it. So United have to be considered favourites. We have the best squad of everybody else fighting out for it. And we don't have the Ollie excuse anymore, which I'm really happy about because that always muddied the water in player debate, in expectations where we should or shouldn't be. I don't think that exists anymore. So we can actually start to focus more on the football and what's actually being delivered. It's going to take a little bit of time for Ralph to get his feet firmly under the table, get the team fit enough to, because you saw after about 50 minutes yesterday, we had no legs to keep pressing. Like, it reminded me of Liverpool like 4 years ago when Klopp arrived. And there may be some injuries from that as well. But like, I make Man United the outright favourites. I'm going to back my team to do it. And I think it's the right thing to do. You can't have a squad like ours with Champions League Varane, most creative teenager in the history of European football, and Cristiano Ronaldo, and now a good manager and not fancy yourself. So I'm going to back my team to do it. Jess, any chance for Arsenal?
No.
I've got to ask. I don't want to leave you guys out in the cold, but none. I mean, a week ago, you guys, a lot of your fellow supporters were saying there was a chance, or some of you.
Yeah, we were never in it. We were never in it. We could just completely take Arsenal out of it for once and just maybe best of the rest. That's probably where we're at. So no chance for Arsenal at all.
You're top of the, Arsenal.
Top of mid-table. There you go.
They do that. You know when they did the league table without the big teams, like Arsenal will win that.
Yeah.
Will they?
I don't know.
Maybe. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? They're the current odds, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see below us and on the screen next to me now for the top 4. You can see the likes of Chelsea and Liverpool there at like 1-50 and 1-40 on. Man City 1-500. They're almost a guarantee. I wouldn't put any money on that. But if you fancy Man United, it is 4-6. If you fancy West Ham and Tottenham, who are currently the same odds at 10-3. Arsenal, they're at 4-1. Outside of Arsenal, it goes very long, with Leicester City currently at 33-1. So essentially, it's between Arsenal, Tottenham, West Ham, and Manchester United. Let us know what you think and feel. Get your comments in below. Up next, we're talking Chelsea and their current dip in form. Chelsea beat by West Ham, drew with Michael Carrick.
Best insurance manager in the league.
Man United, like
So smug.
Are you?
I've been waiting for this, Anita. I've been waiting to come on a show where we won and you've lost. I've been waiting about a calendar year for this.
Oh, yeah.
Let me cook today. I've been waiting.
Over to you, sir. I'll just hand it straight over. Go for it.
I'll be honest, Terry. You see how late I left it before I confirmed. Do you know how many things I moved around to make sure I could be on this show today? I saw Anita put her name down. I was like, is it, yeah? Because I remember being here not even a couple years back, about a year and a half ago. And it was Chelsea this, Chelsea that. Thiago Silva this, Thiago Silva that.
Hey, we
Mendy
won.
this, Mendy that. No, you won the Champions League. You did. And you got a new manager and everything. And Daniel, we had this conversation a couple of weeks ago, and I said to you, I think respectfully, Chelsea are the 3rd best team in the league, and you wanted to jump through the screen and strangle me like Homer used to with Bart Simpson. And I said respectfully, the only reason I'm saying that is because you're only a year into your project. Thomas Tuchel has overachieved, which has staggered and changed the perspective and the expectations at your club. When Guardiola came in, and you look how long they've had to implement their strategy, philosophy, and the team that they've built, to overtake those two teams in just one summer, I think is almost impossible. And I think you're starting to see that now. Like, again, Daniel, I had this conversation with you a couple of weeks ago. I said, as great as Mendy is, he's overperforming. His level's not sustainable because he's overperforming. I still think he's a fantastic goalkeeper. I still think he's been the best goalkeeper in the league. But this talk of Chelsea have easily got the best defense when Mendy's been man of the match for a few games, for me, is a counterintuitive thing. You can't have the best defense, but your goalkeeper's man of the match. In the same way, no one was sitting there saying Arsenal have got sick defense when Ramsdale was pulling out man of the match performances. They were slating Arsenal's defense, saying, why is Ramsdale having to pull off these saves? Again, you still haven't managed to sort out the situation with Lukaku. Does he fit the system? Does he not? Are you better with him or without him? We know he's a goal getter. We know that. But in the big games where he's playing against the big boys, is he good enough? Can he let the ball stick? Can he bring others into play? We ain't seen it yet. I've been hearing comparisons between Trent and Reece James all season. But Thomas Tuchel's come out and said that that Reece James is an actual midfielder this season. And when you look at their average heat maps, Reece James has got a higher average position than Mane. So why are we not comparing Reece James to Salah? But we don't want to have that conversation, do we? We don't want to have that conversation. They're playing effectively in the same position.
Coward, let's not do that. Don't do that.
Really?
No, of course we don't. Of course we don't.
Let him cook. Let him finish.
So we know what we're doing here.
You added too much salt now. You added too much salt.
No, what I'm saying is, in the same way, all season, all in the summer, all I heard was Liverpool ain't got no depth. Chelsea got the best depth. I'm seeing Saul, who should have been left in Spain, slower than a snail, can't adapt to the league. I'm seeing you lose Chilwell, which is a big loss, but Marcus Alonso started the season on fire, but now all of a sudden, Chilwell's out. Oh, it's dire straits. You lot should have a squad to deal with some of these things. But I'm hearing excuse after excuse from a lot of Chelsea fans. I'm not saying it's you two, but I'm hearing those excuses. What you guys got to say? I enjoyed that. Sorry.
Like,
Terry, big up for letting me have that time, bro.
You indulge.
Last season. No, legit, it sounds like Liverpool from last season. What, when you guys were complaining about your squad, they're talking about injuries. Nobody was saying that you shouldn't be having these injuries. Do
you have available centre backs?
Available centre backs?
Yeah.
Chalobah's out. Christensen's just come back in.
That wasn't my question, Nita. Don't be a politician right now.
Okay, we have available centre backs.
Right then, from November,
we don't have available midfielders though.
From November, we had no Virgil, we had no Gomez, and we barely had Matip.
We have no Kante. We have no Jorginho. We have no Kovacic. We have no Chilwell.
Let's not. I don't even.
We didn't have Reece James for the first how many games? If you want to pull out the injury card, we can go back and forth on it. That's
what I'm saying.
But hold on, last season, when we speak about injuries, you guys were saying, but it shouldn't matter.
Wait, man, wait. Bro, it's actually not a pissing contest about who has had the most injuries and all of that. It's not even about that, because at the end of the day, let's obviously you can get your jokes in. I'm gonna try and be as possible. You can have your jokes and all of that. And whatnot, but I'll
be honest, I'm here to rattle Anita. That's my main thing.
He's here for me.
Fair enough. And it just so happened that obviously Terry as well, making his jokes too. That so happened to be my most busy week was the week we lost. So I couldn't come. So
right.
But no, if we're being honest, let's look at it like this. Look, the Chelsea right now, even with the injuries that we've had, we've managed to scrape up a couple of wins that I think that even after the Watford victory, and I came on after that victory and I said that people are focused too much on the performance and that you have to look at the available players. But I mean, we had to start Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Saul, a partnership that had never played together, had no time together whatsoever. Obviously, we scraped the victory in that. And Watford were obviously manager bounce and obviously playing well and this and that. So that was one of the issues that we were having as a club, where we were having to face teams that were actually playing really well without our full strength team. And whether or not you want to call that an excuse, that's just what we're looking at right in front of us. We've had Lukaku, Werner, and a number of players out. I still think that even with these injuries, we have done well to still be in the Let's not forget, please. Let's not forget that before that loss, we were top of the league, innit? And it so happens that one loss took us to third. That shows how tight the title race is.
Well, you're 4 points there.
To be fair, Daniel, that's all very good. That's all very good. But the big question I have for you is why is the safety on? Why on the big 4-4 is the safety on, bro? Why is it on?
Listen,
man? Scored 3 goals in the last 10 league games. I just want to know what the safety's on, bro.
Let's talk about Lukaku. If people want to be you just have to be clear whether or not you want to be banterous about it. If you want to be banterous about it, that's fine. But if you want to be logical about it, let's be logical. One sec. I'll come. I'm going to answer it.
Go on.
If you want to be logical about it, no. If you want to be logical about it, the last 3 games that he played, he's only played 45 minutes. He hasn't even played full games. He's not been fit. Tuchel obviously took the blame for bringing him on against West Ham, and he said that he wasn't fit to play, and he wasn't fit enough to play 45 minutes. So whether or not you want to believe him or not, that's up to you. But I'm listening to my coach, who I've heard and believed a lot of the other things that he has said in the past, which have turned out to be true. On top of that, he got injured in the Malmo game, where many people believe he would have scored in that Malmo game before he got injured. He literally won the penalty. He was about to take the penalty, but then he got injured, so he wasn't able to do that. So there's things that haven't worked in his favor. 100%, I believe that Lukaku can do better in terms of adapting per se to the system. But then again, look, for me personally, I just think if you spend 90 to 100 million on a striker, you have to cater to his needs. You need to try and service him, create chances for him. Because that's the issue.
Catering to those needs over the right wing. That's what I've just heard. I've heard that.
I want to ask this question.
People shouldn't annoy me.
Like,
that right wing thing really annoyed me this afternoon. Like, I went on a whole rampage on Twitter. Like, more time I don't even like getting into Twitter nonsense, but people are just really annoying, talking about we should try new things and try put Lukaku right wing. How many times has Lukaku played right wing in his career? People were telling me that he was playing there for Manchester United. What Man United were you watching? He's played right wing.
Ollie's.
The thing is, one match with Man United, he played right wing. That was the same match he said that he knew it was time to go because Ollie put him on the right wing. People want Tuchel to do the exact same thing.
Man got
None of it makes any sense.
Well, guys, so the viewers send me in questions every week for these shows, and one that got sent in for the week's worth of show. One of the questions that got sent in, and I'm wondering whether this is Chelsea fans panicking, whether this is rivals looking to put Lukaku down. One of the questions was, Liverpool and Man City are proving that there is no longer a need to have an out-and-out striker in the Premier League. could this be why Lukaku is proving problematic at Chelsea? Because the system is modern, but the player is old-fashioned.
That is
No, that's
actually
not
a
true.
really. It's no. Let's not jump and say it's not true straight away.
It
Then
isn't
it's
true,
a good question. It's a good
I'm not saying
question.
it's not a good question, but tell me Jota isn't a striker in that team. You want to say Jota is a false nine, but he's not. He's a striker. He's there to score goals. Say that again. Sorry?
Callum, wait, Callum.
It depends on how you want me to answer.
No. He's not. He's a striker, bro. Don't tell me Jota is a false nine. He's a striker.
Right, so here's the thing, yeah. I don't actually think Jota is a striker. He's just Liverpool's one is a difficult one to explain.
Create the word now.
No, he's not a false
You
nine.
created it for Firmino, bro. Create a new position for Jota.
He's
a 9.5
No, he's not a false nine. I'm not going to say that at all. But he's not a striker either. We just play attackers, innit? And they just do what they do. Like, none of them are clinical enough to call a striker.
What? No. I'm sorry.
Apart from Salah this season. Apart from Salah this season.
Nonsense in the back.
Yeah, what I would say though, what I would say about Jota isn't a target man style striker, though, is he? He's about 4'2". Like, do you feel like Lukaku? I mean, the question would be this: in the games that he was out injured, probably the best we've seen Chelsea play in terms of fluidity, number of goals scored. When your fan base was at its probably happiest all season in terms of that. Is it completely out of the question to say that maybe Lukaku's presence slows you down, gets in the way? He's build up play, isn't as good on the ball as all of the other attackers on the ball. Yeah. Technically, he is the worst of them. Man United fans will remember this. The biggest issue we had with Lukaku is when we tried to build the play up, it always felt like he was the problem. Is that happening at Chelsea?
You see, and that's where I say that it was a good question, because this is where me and Daniel might disagree and butt heads a little bit. I believe that we do play better football without Lukaku, and it has been proven. It's been shown. The first few games that we had Lukaku, was Lukaku great? Yes. But 9 games after that, how did it go? It wasn't so great. Like, the fluidity wasn't there. But once Lukaku got removed from the situation, the next game we scored 7 goals. Okay, it was against Norwich, I understand. But we scored 7 goals. We scored 3 goals in our next game. The fluidity came back. But then people will argue that Lukaku hasn't played with a Callum Hudson-Odoi yet. He hasn't played with a fully fit Mason Mount yet, fully fit Christian Pulisic yet. And all of these things need to come into factor. So until I see Romelu Lukaku play with all of these players to the best of his ability, then I can't really say whether or not this system suits him or not. But we do play a modern style of football. Like Callum said, Reece James is practically our winger, whatever. But we do play a modern style.
That's facts.
To you. It's facts to you.
Thomas Tuchel came out and said it.
Facts to Tuchel too, because he said he was a midfielder still.
Midfielder and winger are 2 different things, KJ. Let's not school each other here.
No, but his average position is the highest in your team.
Regardless of where his average positioning is, Reece James, when you put him on the team sheet, he is a wing back. Just because our wing backs press up higher than the average wing back does not make him a winger. He's not.
All right, so I really quickly, Anita, sorry to cut you. Firmino on the team sheet starts as a number 9, but he's the least advanced of our front 3. He's the least he's the least offensive of our front 3. So starting position on the team sheet doesn't stipulate where you actually play during the game.
To be fair with you, if you understand the role of a wing back, you understand that most wing backs do push up that for high up in their teams as well.
Higher than your strikers.
They do. And the thing is, you've now brought up strikers. When Lukaku hasn't been there, who has been our striker?
Havertz.
Or Timo.
We haven't had a striker. So there you go.
What's Timo?
Hold on, I'm not done. You can say that he's pushing up higher than a striker, but who exactly is the striker? We don't have a striker. We play with a false 9. So the fact that our false 9 has to drop deeper,
Timo's a false 9.
No, Timo Werner's been injured. This is how I know you don't watch us, and now you're here running your guns.
Hold on, Timo ain't played striker at all since Lukaku's been out.
He's been injured. They got injured in the same match.
He played one game against United.
They got injured in the same match.
So who else has been up there? So hold on, you
Havertz has been up there.
Hold on, but you just said Havertz. So Havertz starts as a number 9, though.
Kai Havertz is our false 9. And that is common knowledge to anybody who watches Chelsea. He is a false 9.
But you've just proven my point. So you just said...
But you've just said that Reece James goes higher than a striker. Who's our striker?
No, but that's my point. He's the most advanced. He's the most attacking player in your team.
But who is our striker? You said he goes further than our striker. Who is our striker?
But that's Anita, you're proving my point.
How?
Because you just said his starting position is a wing back.
Yes.
I just said the same example with Firmino. His starting position is a striker, but he's not our most advanced player. In the same way, so I'm saying, even though his starting position is quote unquote a wing back, where he's meant to be as defensive as he's attacking, it's proven that he's not. He's.
I don't think Reece James is the topic at hand here. It's no safety. It's no safety. Big 4-4 like Romelu Lukaku. Just saying.
Compared to Mo Salah.
Because you guys keep on comparing him to Trent. Everyone keeps on comparing him to Trent when Trent's an actual right back.
No.
Trent is just as much of a midfielder as Reece James.
No, he's not.
They're both midfielders.
How can he be when we play a different system?
Callum, if we look at Trent's, obviously I don't know in it, but if we look at,
do you want me to get it for you, Terry? I'm gonna WhatsApp it to you. I'm gonna WhatsApp it to you.
All right, okay. Cal, share your screen.
All right, give me a sec. I'll bring it up.
I mean, are we really gonna look at heat maps? They both play like midfielders.
The point I wanted to make was just the reason why I disagree with Anita is just everyone's gonna have their opinion, just because why it's so interesting is because if we look at all the tapes and when we've spoken on all the previous episodes, what was one of the main running themes that I was saying, even when we were winning games comfortably? I said that the way we are playing with Lukaku right now, where he's scoring 2 goals from 0.5 chances created, isn't sustainable. I looked at the Aston Villa game where he scored a goal where Kovacic obviously played him through, which with a really nice ball, which hasn't been done regularly. The 2 players that Tuchel has said have built the best chemistry with Lukaku is Mason Mount and Kovacic. Kovacic has been out for a long time. Mason Mount and Lukaku haven't been on the pitch for a while together in terms of both fully fit and starting together. So there's so many obstacles to it that, in my opinion,
I just think that point, Daniel.
No. I know, but
we'll have to come back before we make a judgment.
No, I know, but I'm saying you think that we're more fluid without him, and I disagree with that, because I'm saying that the reason why we bought Lukaku is because we were having a finishing of chances problem. And that finishing of chances problem can only be solved if we maintain the level of chances we are creating, which we weren't creating that many last season. We need to increase our output in terms of chances. Yeah, we weren't. In terms of chances created, we weren't in the upper echelon. So what we need to do is increase our output in chances created, and I can guarantee that Lukaku scores more goals for us.
But the thing is, right? You're saying that we brought him in because of this, but that doesn't mean that we haven't been playing more fluid without him. Because from what I can see, we have been playing more fluid without him. When Lukaku is not there, I think it is true. 4-0 against Juventus.
It's always going to look more fluid when you have 3. It's always going to look more fluid without him.
Exactly.
Like that. It's just the way that he is. He's a big striker. You know, it's always going to look more fluid.
But that's my thing, though. Why should we just basically land ourselves with what seems normal to our eyes? I disagree with it. Because you can bring up the 4-0 against Juventus because Lukaku wasn't present, but then I can bring up the 3-0 against Aston Villa. Watford, why didn't we look fluid when we had Pulisic, Kai Havertz, and Mason Mount on the pitch? Why didn't we look fluid against West Ham? Because I rewatched that whole game because I didn't get to watch it live. I rewatched the whole game. We didn't look fluid. We only showed up in moments. Mount scored a wonder goal. And fair enough, I think on another day, we don't lose that game because of the defensive mistakes that we made. I believe that Mendy makes a mistake, which that doesn't usually happen. Arthur Masuaku scored a weird goal, which that wouldn't usually happen. And then Thiago Silva and Alonso miscommunication, clearing a very easy ball that landed for Demarai Gray. So
guys, what I would say, viewers, I want your thoughts and I want your feelings on where you think are there some fluidity issues and everything else. We've got some super chats I want to do soon as well, but I have the heat maps, so I went on to Wisecout. I've got them both. I'm going to put them up on the screen now. There they are. Trent's on the left. Reece James is on the right.
Trent's on the left.
Trent's on the left.
Trent's on the left.
Right.
The reason it's darker is because Liverpool, he touches the ball more per game, because Liverpool have more touches than Chelsea in games. But essentially, if you look at the areas of the pitch that they touch the ball and spend in, I mean, it's practically identical as far as I'm concerned.
It's
told
pretty
you.
much the same thing. They both
Hmm.
play like
put the
midfielders
camera
in
on
their
Callum.
system.
No, no,
The
put it
only
on me.
difference
Put the
is
camera
that
on Callum.
the only
Put it on
difference is
screen.
that you guys play
Screen.
5 at the back and they play 4 at the back. That's the only
Literally.
difference.
And
That's
that is
it.
why you would
And-
There's
expect
the
Reece
same.
James to press up higher.
And do you know what?
That's
Do you
why
know
you'd
that the only
expect
difference
it.
is? See, when you play 3 at the back and have wing backs, or you play Liverpool system, Liverpool essentially have 3 at the back when they play their system because one of your midfielders drops into the position to cover the defender that goes
Not
forward.
as
So you've still
much.
got, yeah, but it's.
They're the
Look,
same.
I think I've said this for a long time. I think we get too caught up on the starting formations of a team rather than what we do when we're in possession. And I think they both play very similar roles. Both you see both of them high up the pitch, out wide. They both at times spend time in midfield. I think they're the same type of player. I really and truly do. But viewers, what do you think about the Lukaku situation? Go on, Nitz.
Can I just say, like, I understand, like, Chelsea fans have been comparing Reece James to Trent, and just as Terry has now debunked your theory, wherever you
I've got the heat map in the share screen.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not the
Sorry,
heat
we've got
map
that.
average positions.
We've got it from Y Scout now, so we don't need to, my darling.
Wait, yo, Callum, what's your source? What's your source,
We've
Callum?
got this here.
Was.
This one here. I mean, the average position again.
That's
Where is
very different now, isn't it? Heat
Where is
maps and
it?
average positions are very different things. Heat map says where you travel on the pitch, doesn't say when you do and don't have the ball,
Okay, so no, the
and
heat
when you're
maps-
in possession as well.
The heat maps on Y Scout are where heat maps are generated by where you touch the ball.
On Y Scout.
Yeah, I'm just going by what
They're
their
the
definitions
same.
says on the thing.
By all clubs use Y Scout, by the way. Let me let you know that.
It's true. It is true. Like, everyone's
Scout.
So hold on, are we not saying there's? Are we saying right now there's no difference between average position on the pitch and heat maps? Is that what we're saying?
No, there is.
No, but
Alright. There
just
is.
saying that this probably the heat map is more of an indication of where they are. Like,
No.
like
Yeah, no, it's true because that's where they're touching the ball. Like, if I stand
Like-
one side of the pitch,
average
and don't
position
touch
to
it,
me
that's still my
stipulates where
average
you've
position.
been playing.
the only
So you
difference is, I honestly
From
I
where
think it's
you-
just
where
because
you
Reece
normally
James
are.
has to compensate for their lack of like a creative midfielder. So he goes more central and pushes up a little bit more.
I would agree that
It's not that deep.
I would
They're both
agree that
midfielders.
Trent is deeper and wider in defensive positions where Reece is a little more narrower. I would say that would be more the case. I look at them. I'm talking more when they're both in possession of the ball and you're attacking. They're the same player. Is in positionally, they do this similar types of. There's always going to be nuances and differences.
Why are you guys so afraid for Trent to get knocked? Not his first.
Trent's
I know
better,
what
isn't
it is. I know what it is. It's like they want Trent to be so unique. He's the only player in the world ever to do his job.
No, I just wanted to make a point that everyone compares Trent, and again, look, I'll put my hands up and say if I've been caught out. The heat map, look, don't lie. I was going by average positions, but if I've been proven wrong, I'm wrong in it. I've got to be man enough and hold the L. I hold the L. Stop comparing him to my boy in it. That's all I'm saying.
Why?
Okay.
Why?
Because there's no.
If they are comparable, and I'm not by any means saying that Reece James is better than Trent. I'm not saying it at all. But if they are comparable, why can we not compare the two?
There's never been anybody close enough. There's never been anybody close
It's
enough.
like when you look at strikers and you say we do a debate on the greatest Premier League strikers, I know Ian Rush wasn't always in the Prem, but Ian Rush is different from Alan Shearer, who's different from Henry, who's different from Wayne Rooney, who's different from Aguero, but yet they all go into the same debate. Like, if your position is right back, right wing back, right full back, right, you're all part of one cluster that you compare. Like, I think I'm not.
Wait, just be happy you've got a right back in that flipping discussion because we ain't got none. So stop it.
There we go, ladies. I want to ask another question about Chelsea before we go on to look at some of the Champions League games this week. Jorginho. It's another question that we got sent in. It says, is Jorginho an empty shirt who fails to influence enough Premier League games in the Chelsea midfield? I'll ask that straight out to a rival and Jess first. This is the question. Is it an empty shirt that fails to influence enough Premier League games?
I think that's incredibly harsh. He's been central to two suspect Chelsea performances. So now people are questioning if he's a good player and probably trying to debunk the whole Ballon d'Or thing. He definitely influences them, just not in the ways that I think people envision a midfielder influencing the game because he's so deep in their midfield and he's not a flashy creative midfielder. So it's just weird that I feel like people want to just, there's a reason why he starts for Chelsea, starts for Italy. There's a reason why he's there. He's a good player. Is he Ballon d'Or? Hell no. But I think that this is just kind of coming up because of the Sancho issue, like that he had against Man United. And then he also was central to something that happened against West Ham as well. So I think it's just a little bit of that. But he does influence the game, just not in the way that a lot of people want to see. And sometimes it's like Hollywood passes and assists and all of that. It is funny watching him make mistakes because he does bump gums a lot, but he's not that bad. So
I think,
is that fair?
Yeah,
no, that's fair. That's fair. I think
You
Jorginho
don't need to ask if it's fair. It's your opinion. Just say what you got to say.
Jorginho's a metronome. He's there doing tic tac like every single second. He's just there to keep the thing ticking. But I feel like one of his downfalls and one of Chelsea's downfalls as a whole is that when you are looking for a goal scoring midfielder from the double pivot, they haven't necessarily got one. They may chip in here or there, but you're not going to guarantee one of them get 5-6 goals in a season unless it's Jorginho and Pence. So I think from open play, people look at him like, when Chelsea needed a goal, why isn't he driving forward with the ball? Why isn't he doing something to get around the player and play the assistant? That's just not what he is. The man is just not that. He's a technical footballer, but he ain't got the pace or the power to burst past people like a Loftus-Cheek in the same team that he plays in. So people just need to remember what he is. And yes, he's been
system thing.
bad.
That's why you have to look at that system.
It's typical. It's typical of football fans to see a player have a brilliant 12 months and then have 2 bad games and go and jump straight back to what their old opinion of him, which was, see, I told you he wasn't good enough. We've gone into this really weird era where we think that top-class, world-class players don't have bad games. I hate to break it to people. Maradona, Zidane, Pele, Paul Scholes, Wayne Rooney, some of the greatest, Ronaldinho, R9, all had multiple poor games every single season of their entire careers. Football fans have got to wake up and realize this.
I was also going to say that I would appreciate if people who actually watch Chelsea could kind of understand where Chelsea is coming, where Jorginho is coming from with all of these mistakes. So you look at Jorginho having a disaster class against Watford and against West Ham, but you also got to consider the fact that Jorginho, I don't even want to use the injury excuse, but he's not fully recovered from his injuries. And then you also got to look at the fact that the people around him, a player like Jorginho, I know that some people might not like or understand what he does for the club. And he said it best himself. If you can't see what he does for Chelsea, then you don't know ball yourself. And I fully stand by that. But it's also the fact that he's always had someone there to kind of be that double six of him that does the opposite of what he does, that kind of does the running around. So the Kante, the Kovacic, and we haven't got that at the moment. Kante and Kovacic have been in and out of form this entire season. Kovacic has been out of form for God knows how long. How many games has he missed? Like 6 games this season already in a row. And then Kante as well, consistently missing matches because he's in and out of injury as well. And then you put Jorginho next to Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Like you said, Ruben Loftus-Cheek is a player that wants to drive forward, keep going forward, leaving Jorginho as the last man. And once Jorginho is that last man, he is a liability. And we've all known this. This is what happened in the first season under Sarri. He was kept as the last man because Kante kept driving forward and he became a liability. And that's why when we bought Saul, I was just a bit confused as to why we just didn't keep a Billy Gilmore or go and invest in a 6, in a holding midfielder, because that's what we needed against West Ham. That's what we needed against Watford. We did not have a 6, and that's where we crumbled. We need stability in our midfield, and if we don't have that stability, Jorginho's not the guy that's going to hold it up there. Jorginho, he's more of a, I hate the word regista, but that's more of what he is in that midfield as opposed to a 6 or an 8. He's neither of the two, you know? So people need to understand the context and kind of not shun him out for those two matches because he's been good for the last year or so. And yeah, I did give shouts for Jorginho to win the Ballon d'Or, but at the same time, I'm gonna back my player. If my player is top 3 for Ballon d'Or, I'm gonna back him for Ballon d'Or win. Are you crazy? Like, I'm gonna keep backing him for a Ballon d'Or win. Lewandowski should have won it, yeah, but Jorginho, for him being in that top 3 and then people want to disrespect him after 2 games, like he said rightfully, you don't know ball. That's between you and your dad.
Just as a final point, though, as well, it's like, it's just, I mean, it comes from a lack of understanding, in my opinion. It's just the way you watch football. Like, if you think because he made a mistake against United, just because he played really well in that game, besides the mistake, obviously. Mistake, yes, caused the goal, stepped up to take his penalty, and that was a big moment as well. But he had a really good game besides the mistake. Obviously, the West Ham game, yes, that was more of a poor game on his part. But at the end of the day, you have to understand his role in this team, how good he's been. He's already proven people wrong. So, like, really and truly, it's just water off a duck's back. Like, he's not really going to crumble because of that. He's someone that likes the pressure. He's spoken out in interviews about how, of course, mentally challenged he was, but he's risen above that. So I think the question's really, really a weird question, if I'm honest. And you have to look at it like this. Even with what KJ said, with KJ's point about Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and this is not pitting like players against each other. We have to look at what the system requires, and the sixes in our team don't really score goals. I mean, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, in the time that all these guys have been out and he's been playing, hasn't scored 1 goal for us. Do you know what I mean? So let's not we don't need to like pretend like, because Jorginho doesn't do this, all the other guys are doing it. No, that's not. All the other guys aren't doing it. Like, that's not true. Yes, Kante has chipped in a couple goals here and there. Kovacic has chipped in with a couple goals here and there, but they're not like 4 or 5 goals ahead of Jorginho. Do you know what I mean? If anything, Jorginho, because of the penalties, is high up there.
He's got more goals.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest though, when you look at the heat maps and all that and average positioning, I'm joking. I'm banter. No,
are you gonna say Jorginho plays?
Heat maps are interesting for me because United are linked with that geezer who's Hadara. From RB, and everyone's like, "Oh, the DM we need." And
we want him, yes, exactly.
I went and checked his average position and his heat map on Wisecout, and the man spends 72% of his game above the halfway line on the right hand side. I'm like, he's a box to fucking game. You can just tell. Like, people try and create too many roles in football. There's 11 positions on the field, and there's a couple of different roles, maybe 2 or 3 different roles within those positions. People like there to be like an infinite amount, so I don't know why they do it. Again, transparent. Been in this game too long. If I can create a unique role for my player, he can't there be. He's almost an impervious to criticism because he's so unique in it. You can't compare him to no one. Yo, midfielders get compared against midfielders. That's it. Like that's it. That's the way it's always been.
This is why Terry wants to go back to 4-4-2. Two strikers, 2
What I'm saying is if you think about it, like Scholes, Gerrard, and Lampard had loads of large differences to their games, but we compare them because they all played central goddamn midfield. It's as simple as that. Nowadays, it's like you've got to have 20 different categories for mid. Imagine how big the Ballon d'Or would be if you got on a wall for each individual type of playing position. Fuck me.
Blame.
He goes on for about 6 hours too long. It'd take about 9 months to give the awards out.
Blame FM because the words like Regista, Trequartista, they didn't exist until FM started to put them out there. So
don't put down Football Manager, bro.
I love it. We all know that's where it comes from.
They did exist. They're just they're just pronounced in a different way. Like, it's just a different language saying the same thing. Like, do you know what I mean? Exactly. No, I hear you. It's just, as you say, it's easy to do it. Like, it's like what I'm saying about Man United now. We don't play 4-2-2-2. We play 4-3-3, bro. That's what we do.
Yeah, wait. Hold on.
We do the 4-3-3 Gegenpress. That's what we do.
You know, I saw the video on YouTube, yeah. And I started laughing. Like, I was like, 4 trouble.
Bro, I am taking, like, the analysis within it is real, but I am taking the piss because if you throw enough of these words out, some of them just catch on. And then and I notice it because I've got a lot of friends in the social media game. Someone says something as a joke, and then everybody starts using it. I'm like, it's not a real word. He just made it up on a random stream, laughing and joking, and now you're all saying these things. It's crazy. But there we go. Cleberson over Keane. That is the weirdest comment we've had from the oldest men. Very, very strange indeed. I know he won a World Cup. There's a comment that came out here. Terry, serious question. If Ralph guaranteed we get Nagelsmann at the end of next season, but we're playing great under Ralph. Would you give Ralph like the job? No. I would go with Nagelsmann and go with the original plan is what I would do.
No. He's saying like instead of this season.
The end. Okay, yeah.
Next season.
Yeah. So again, that's a great point, and Gary Neville spoke about it last night very well. If we get to the end of the season and the number one target isn't available, and we've got to wait another year, then yeah, maybe I've got no issue with waiting. It does depend how we're playing. Nagelsmann's always been my number one choice, so I would love that. And if they want to continue with the German theme, then yeah, great. Wait, like if they're like, well, Poch can't play the style that we want to play, then yeah, don't panic. Get it right is what I would say. Michael here says Chelsea and City can't use the injury card because of squad depth. Liverpool got away with it because of cheap Klopp and FSG's lack of squad depth is what Michael Ramsey's got to say there. A comment here says Liverpool won't finish top 4, as in Jeff Black said that. It isn't. You keep
I just allow people to keep misquoting me because I never said it like that. But hey.
It's even funny. Like so, Gris shared the clip the other day.
Because that's all they hear.
And nobody
we're crap.
No one listens to what Callum said afterwards. Where it's like, I totally get where Jess was coming from. The question was, or the point was,
I'm not even gonna lie. I've actually tried to help you out with this one, Jess, on our show, but they ain't not hearing it. No, because sorry.
I can't help that people just. It's almost like you guys need hearing aids or something, so you can actually hear it and listen to it. Like I never said that.
People hear what they want to hear. It's the
they heard
what happened.
This Arsenal fan thinks they're better than us and we're crap. That's what they heard. Literally.
Yeah. I think all that happened was we were talking about could anyone miss out, and all Jess said, I'm paraphrasing here, was if Liverpool have major injuries to certain players within the team, like last year, she could see a situation where they may fall out. But literally it was like if the squad stays fit, like it. They're ignoring the fact that Jess also said that if it stays fit, like you pretty much have done this season with a few minor injuries, you'd be in the title race. It was a circumstance situation. But as you say, I used to get it a lot where people were like, "Oh, do you want Ollie gone?" I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm more intrigued, more focused on the ball being run right." How dare you support Ollie? I'm like, no. I want the board run right. You're backing Ollie. You're backing Ollie. No, I just want the board to be run right. If people hear what they want to hear, as simple as that. Someone wrote some really weird stuff in here. She said we have a skeleton squad. You have got a pretty thin squad, to be fair.
You do. Like I stand by that you guys don't have the same depth as other like, come on. Be real for like 5 seconds. You guys have a squad that's not as deep as others. And if key people get injured, you can't replicate the same thing that you guys want to do. Like, I'm not speaking a different language. I'm not. Am I saying something different? I never
Jess, their fans did a squad depth
it's
11.
So weird.
Their fans did a squad depth 11 and had like 6 players in the same spot for like 4 different spots. They had like Milner and like 6 different spots. Curtis Jones in 4 different spots. That's when you know depth is peak, bro. Like it is what it is.
But these are the type of comments. Liverpool's bench is still better than Arsenal's starting position, but that's irrelevant to the conversation. But there we go. Champions League football this week, ladies and gentlemen. Big game, though. There's not very many big games. By the way, City are losing. The last time I checked, they were losing 2-1. Crisis at the Etihad as they lose another Champions League game. It's a joke, people that are panicking. I think Messi's got 2 goals tonight. He's waiting to the dead rubber to start scoring goals, Messi. But there we go. But Barcelona Bayern Munich is a big game because Barcelona are staring down the barrel. They could be on their way out of the Champions League. We're going to take a look at some of the odds on that next. Bayern Barcelona. I thought this could be the key focus game for the Champions League this week because United are safe. Chelsea are through. Liverpool have been through for about 6 weeks. Like you've been through forever. Like you're all good. Are Barcelona going out? And how big a shock is this to everybody?
Not just out, Terry. Not just out. They're going to Europa League. Give me them in the Europa League, please. Please. That's more torture than flipping being out of the Champions League. It is. They're going to have to slug it out in the Europa League, and I cannot wait. I have always wanted to see a Real Madrid or Barcelona in the flipping Europa League. And it could happen today. And I want it to happen so badly. Just for the bants. And plus, Bayern Munich right now, they're pissed. The fact that Lewandowski did not get the flipping Ballon d'Or twice, denied twice, them man are out for blood, and they're ready to flipping beat their asses. So
Yeah,
I need Bayern to do this just to see how the mighty have fallen. Because Barcelona were doing up corruption and crime in everyone's faces, and now they're reaping the rewards of their play. Allegedly doing all that stuff. But now they're reaping the rewards for it. So I beg, put them in the Europa League just for bans, please.
yeah. But obviously, the Benfica have got to win as well. If Benfica don't win, then it's elementary.
It's
but
they're playing like a really bad team,
winning,
yeah.
aren't they?
They're
Bayern
playing the
Munich are
worst
winning.
team.
They're winning, right? No one expects a Barcelona win here.
No.
Oh, it could get ugly tonight.
It could.
A couple of red cards.
It could get really ugly tonight. I'm glad the game's going to be, a portion of the game's going to be on after Watershed. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's tomorrow. It's tomorrow.
Tomorrow night.
Oh, sorry, tomorrow.
But
Either
still, it
way,
don't matter.
they should push the game back an hour.
I might not even watch the Chelsea one just so I can watch this.
I'm watching it.
I've got that. For you FIFA players, I've got a Nicolas Sula card ready for the upgrade, man. I need Bayern to win, fam. I need it.
Do you know what it is for me? Like all teams I remember when they beat us in 2 Champions League finals, and I remember being very angry and annoyed, which I think is quite normal. And I'm like, I can't wait for Messi to be gone and for things to fall apart. And you always get that response. No, they're always going to remain this good. It's like you ain't watched football if you think teams always remain at the level that they're at. Let's just look at Arsenal and Man United in recent years. Look at Liverpool for 30 years. Do you know what I mean? You know, Chelsea didn't exist before for a while. On a weird thing, I am so happy to see Barcelona in the mud. Like, I'm so happy to see it. Messi, the only thing that makes it a little less sweeter is that Messi ain't there as well with them. Do you know what I mean? He didn't love the club enough and wasn't prepared to take a pay cut. Do you know what I mean? He jumped ship. He went to play in the Uber Eats League, left his team drowning. I hope they get relegated as well, legitimately. I hope Xavi doesn't win another game. Like, I despise them. I don't know why.
Those 2 Champions League finals really good. Really good.
No, they did.
They hurt me.
Barcelona is not for everyone.
It also annoys me. It isn't for everybody. But what annoyed me about it is I also found their football so boring. Because no.
Come on.
No. Let me explain. Boring from a competitive standpoint. They were so good when they were at their best. The game was boring because they dominated the ball, and I like a game where there's a little bit of jeopardy. Who could win this? And I found their games when they were at their pomp annoying because they were so good. So I'm praising how good they were, but they weren't competitive. They go 2-0 up and then hold the ball for the rest of the game. And it was boring. It's not good to watch.
Until the players and beat us 4-0 in a fight. Now, listen, I'm hurt, man. I'm hurt. That man have put me through pain twice. They made one of my favorite centre-backs of all time look like in Rio Ferdinand look old and useless. It was a disgrace. I want
did that to everyone.
League,
I agree.
I
agree.
Not everyone.
Not us.
We turned it around as well. Still.
We beat them as well, KJ. You probably don't remember because you're probably supporting Villa at the time, but we beat them. We beat them in the semi-final.
The semi-final,
we beat them as well. My point is,
absolute screamer. I know that we did, but
some people in the comments are Terry's the biggest capper. Listen, you're not listening again. You're hearing what you want to hear. Brilliant football. I'm going to really hang on.
Arguably the best football that we have ever seen in European football ever. The best.
Hey, that's it.
The game.
From a competitive standpoint, it's boring. Competitive standpoint, nobody really stood a chance very often. It makes it less of a spectacle. It's like me getting in the ring with Anthony Joshua and getting sparked out.
No, the deep one's not. The deep one's not.
Please
not a bad team.
Just boring competitively. Listen.
It does my brain in. It's like, why don't people listen to what's being said and they twist it into their own little world? I didn't say bad, crap, competitively boring. And it were. So many of their games were just so one-sided. That's why I think when they had those games where like Roma came back, when you guys turned it round. And by the way, that weren't peak Barca either. Like that was
broke them.
What?
We broke them.
Hang on, you're telling me
No,
peak
not
Barcelona?
you, Daniel. Not you, Daniel.
No,
Check
no, no.
Liverpool.
No. The team that no, I don't discredit Liverpool. This is where I'll back them still.
Hang on, let me make my point.
Daniel, you think I taken your offense to that?
Hang on. You're telling me that the Liverpool team, the Barca that Liverpool beat was as good as the treble-winning Barcelona team.
That's what he's saying.
It's not peak. Again, hearing what you want to hear.
No.
Daniel, why are you hearing what you want to hear?
Anyway, all I was going to say anyway is put your hand up if you've beaten Barcelona in the Champions League.
Oh, we have.
No, they have.
Yeah, Jess has as well. Yeah. We broke them though. When the moment we sold them Coutinho, that's when we broke them. Just think.
I hear you.
All right.
I know.
Things start going really.
What broke was allegedly do not corruption. That's what broke Barcelona. But again, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Barcelona are like a drill rapper that tells the world how many people they chefed up and then like they
and then the shots when they get caught, you're like,
They were so
no,
good, man.
I didn't
They
know
were
that
so
was
good.
happening.
They were so good in their pomp. That's why when anybody did get a result, it was like everybody celebrated. Like Twitter weren't even a real fit. I remember when Inter knocked them out and Jose did that celebration, the world celebrated with him. And that's how I knew that they were one brilliant, but at the same time, like no one ever expected anybody to beat them because of how one-sided their games were. And it was so great to see anybody beat them. I supported everyone that played Barcelona just because they were so good.
El Clasico, everyone supported Real Madrid. Well, I didn't really meet a lot of people that liked Barcelona when Real Madrid played them anyway. So,
yeah, I think that does happen. I think whenever you get a team that's really Liverpool's team from the 70s and 80s was despised. Man United's 90s team, but when you have a team that really dominates and is just the outright best, they tend to get like that hate on them.
People Arsenal had that a little bit too sometimes, or not?
Okay.
Do we not have that?
Okay.
Do we not have that a little bit?
You think Arsenal would have got that if Chelsea didn't get Roman money?
No.
I mean,
Man United.
everybody does root for us to lose.
People hate us now.
You know.
Yeah, but if we didn't get Roman money, Arsenal would have been
There was
invincible.
no
They probably
way
would have
we
won
were.
the league again the next
Yeah.
season.
Now, Jess.
We had a mini version of that. A small,
No, you did not,
little
because
mini
to
version
this
of
day,
that.
you didn't. You know why you didn't? Because to this day, people will still argue that Henry is the GOAT and they're not Arsenal fans. That's how you know that you guys weren't hated like that. That's how you know.
Yeah,
No,
but do you know why you
okay.
weren't hating? Jess, I don't know how it translated over there in America, but here
It
Arsenal-
translates the same.
no, you have no idea. You have no
I
idea.
can
what
already
I'm
see
gonna-
it. Your
No, you have
Yank brain.
no idea. Again, jumping the gun. You got no idea what I'm going to say. Because you even told me that back then football was even almost impossible to watch. So I don't think it did translate through. Arsenal was seen as a team that were there to break the dominance of Man United. So Arsenal were the first leading team in what Man United called Abus, anybody but United. So people would support that anyone who was challenging United got support from the majority of people. We call them, Man United fans call them Abus. And Arsenal were like the ones that kind of did it well. Blackburn were first, and then we brushed them aside. Then Newcastle were going to be the guys that were going to challenge United. That didn't happen. And you really went toe-to-toe for those years. Chelsea came along, and that was meant to break it. And then the 3 years. It was only after that when Fergie got towards retirement. Like, no one broke Fergie's dominance domestically in England. No one.
But even when Chelsea were doing it, y'all still hated us.
You were hated for a different. You had it for a different reason. You had it because you helped Man United. Because when we beat you in the Champions League final, I watched that with Liverpool and Arsenal fans, and they all celebrated because Chelsea was seen as breaking football by financial doping. So
Who are
suddenly,
these Liverpool fans that celebrated the Man United Champions League?
a lot. Bruv,
I'm thinking.
trust me. They I remember one Liverpool fan saying to me, "I'm glad football." He goes, "I hate you, but I respect you. Yin and yang. He went, I'm glad football won today. And that's what I heard at the time from a lot of fans.
None of my people would have said that.
I wouldn't have said that either, by the way.
Yeah,
I
but
would
you're
have
not Scouse, so you don't
Liverpool,
count.
but-
Nah, none of my people would have said that, KG. They'd be out the circle, bro.
You're just saying that because you're on the internet now. Back in them days when there was no evidence, no receipts, you guys would have been against them as well.
Bro. They wouldn't be in my circle anymore.
Is that why you guys got rid of Devo? But it's Scouse only. Go away, Devo. No Arsenal fans. They literally kicked an Arsenal. I'm joking.
No,
they didn't. I know you didn't. I'm joking. He was the only friend of theirs that weren't a Liverpool fan, and they rebranded the channel. Oh, terrible. I love you, Devo. I love you, brother. Football, was it the Football Banter Show? Is what it's called, right?
Yeah.
Originally, it was. Yeah, it was good.
I
show.
wasn't a part of them then.
Oh no, yeah. So yeah, you were the replacement, basically.
No, you're dragging me through the mud.
What was that band? What was that band that always changed their members? Sugar Babes. Like, do you know what I mean? Always someone.
Oh my god, they changed.
What are you saying? I'm the third Sugar Babe, yeah.
You're like
in that band.
Yeah, you're basically like Eternal after Louise left. Do you know what I mean? One of them ones. These kids don't know
You're
Eternal.
dragging me through the mud.
These kids don't know Eternal or who Louise is. Louise Redknapp, that is actually. But anyway, odds on tomorrow night's game here. What am I putting a bet on? We got to do a correct. That's the wrong screen. This is it. No, I've got to add it back to the stream. There it is. That went wrong. Right. What's the correct score tomorrow night? Bayern Munich, Barcelona. What are we saying?
Is there an
4-0.
8-0. Oh my god.
Oh, wait.
100 to 1.
Wait. Let's not do 8.
Before, isn't it?
Let's do 5. Let's do 5.
4.
I reckon 4.
I think Barcelona will score, so I'm gonna
Let's say
say
4 to
5-1.
I'm saying
5-1.
4-1.
Yeah, 4-1 sounds fair.
4-1's cool. We're gonna go. That's at 19 to 1. I'm gonna stick a little £10 on that at 19 to 1. At 4-1 to Bayern Munchen. But I can't help it now because Jess has said it, and because I'm only gonna put a very small bet on this.
Is it not?
Yeah, it's one of those things where if somebody kind of, I've got to refresh this page because it isn't now scrolling down. But so when someone says something and I don't do it and then it happens, I imagine now they win 8-0 and I don't put the 600 to 1 bet on, I'd cry my eyes out. So I am going to put that on now as well at 600 to 1, 8-0. I was going to put it on. I'm going to put £1 on it, just £1. I'm not going to risk.
What I'm going to say is if KJ said 8-0, oh, KJ, you're crazy. We're not putting a bet on. But just says it, oh, let's put the bet on. I'm just saying.
I think it's crazy. I imagine how gutted I'll be tomorrow. It's like if someone said to you, I know the winning lottery numbers, and they read the numbers out. Imagine you didn't go and buy one line. Imagine. Like, it's one of them ones. Right. There's a super chat here. What does it say? Not only Barca, but Atletico, Sevilla, and Villarreal could all be out. La Liga is finished. We all know who the strongest league is, bro. Do you know what I mean? We've been saying this for time now. La Liga is in trouble, but yeah, lots of. I mean, the Europa League's going to get tough because Dortmund go out as well, right? Dortmund are out.
Yeah, they're out. Europa League bound.
They're already out.
Yeah, on basically goal difference, they could. Yeah, they're not going to get the swing around. They're out. Leipzig are going to go into it, even though they're winning now. Oh, shit, you could end up with Atletico Madrid, Leipzig, Dortmund, Barcelona,
AC Milan,
Sevilla, AC Milan,
or Atletico.
One of those. Oh, Benfica. Like West, yeah. A lot of people talk West Ham winning it. That ain't happening.
Actually, saying that though, it could be the best Europa League we've seen in a long time.
Well, it will be again.
Last season was excellent.
Yeah, it was. It'll be like the last season was excellent. Do one, bro. Do one. I think do one. It'll be a little bit like what the UEFA Cup used to be when it was good. Where you had like legitimate teams in it trying to win. But there we go.
Bayern used to be regularly in the UEFA Cup. Like, so it happens. The cycle's coming around, man. Liverpool and Arsenal next. Actually, Arsenal already there, but Liverpool
back
next.
in the days when Fulham and Middlesbrough used to get to semis and finals in the UEFA
Sam
Cup.
Allardyce, man. That Bolton too.
I see the difference in age there, Cal, and man's like when back in the day. I was like a 22-year-old man back then. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't a kid.
No, I wasn't that old still. You might be by yourself there, I'm not jumping on this bus, bro.
I actually lived in a house share in East London with these 3 Middlesbrough fans, 3 smoggies, and my word, like we were that night when they won that semi-final game, that I honestly, I've never drunk so much alcohol. It was such a party. Like, because when I joined, it was a great time. West Ham to beat Barca in the final to end La Liga. It would. Can you imagine that?
Amazing.
That'd be
Imagine
great.
Mikel Antonio hat-trick in the final against Barca.
Oh, that'd be
The Barcelona is not
The
going to
way-
make it to that
England's
final.
finest. England's finest.
And now Jamaica's finest. So the Jamaican flag
Yeah,
will be
yeah,
out,
come
boy.
on.
You know what I'm saying? Let's go.
If Galsate called him up, he would have been here, bruv. Do you know what I mean? He's one of them ones. No disrespect, Antonio, my guy. Right, listen, everyone who's tuned in tonight, thank you. Please smash the like button before you leave. Sign up to your free Bet Victor account. We are going to be going live over the course of the festive period with this show. We might skip a few days because there's a lot of football coming up as well. We'll kind of put a bit of a rotor out on the community page on the terrace to let you know when shows are coming up. But until Thursday, where we're back in the studio live, until then, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon.